By comparison, even multiple stressful events will not easily cause people with the protective variants of the gene to be depressed. Thus, the genes people have make a difference only when their environment is stressful. And a stressful environment has an effect only on individuals with a genotype that predisposes them to depression. Environment correlations, or ways in which a person's genes and his environment or experiences are interrelated. Passive, evocative, and active. The concept of gene-environment interactions tells us that people with different genes react differently to the experiences they have. And then we wonder why we go through the same devastations and one prevails and the other one suffers. It's genetics that one may be more susceptible to depression while the other one may be more motivated to be greater. Gene-environment correlations, or ways in which a person's genes and his environment or experiences are interrelated. Passive, evocative, and active. The concept of gene-environment interactions tells us that people with different genes react differently to the experiences they have. Passive gene-environment correlations work like this. Because parents provide their children with both their genes and their living environment compatible with those genes, the home environments to which children are exposed are correlated with and are typically likely to reinforce their genotype. For instance, sociable parents not only transmit their sociable genes to their children, but also, because they have sociable genes themselves, creating a highly social home environment, inviting friends over, taking their children to social gatherings, and so on. The combination of genes for sociability and a sociable environment make their children more sociable than they would otherwise be. By contrast, the child with shy parents may receive genes for shyness and a correlated environment without as much social stimulation. In evocative gene-environment correlations, a child's genotype also evokes certain kinds of reactions from other people. In short, genetically based tendencies may affect the reactions of other people to an individual, and hence the kind of environment the individual will experience through life. How fun. Finally, through active gene-environment correlations, children's genotypes influence the kinds of environments they seek. The individual with the genetic predisposition to be extroverted is likely to go to every party in sight, invite friends over, join organizations, collect Facebook friends, and otherwise build a niche that is highly socially stimulating and that strengthens social skills. The child with genes for shyness may actively avoid large group activities and instead develop solitary interests. Genetic makeup is related to the following aspects of parenting, such as the warmth and quality of the parent-child relationship, time spent watching television, number of stressful life events experienced. If our genetically influenced personality traits affect how others treat us, and what experiences we seek and have, these findings make sense. Repeatedly, genes shared by parents and adolescents partly or even largely accounted for relationships between children's experiences in the family and their developmental outcomes. For example, between a negative parenting style and antisocial behavior on the part of adolescents. Taking this and other evidence into account, we must conclude that reciprocal influences are at work in human development. For example, harsh negative parenting contributes to antisocial behavior in children, but children genetically predisposed to be antisocial also provoke and bring out the worst in their parents. One approach to genetically informed research is to determine whether an environmental influence is just as evident among adoptive children. That is, with genetic resemblance between parent and child out of the picture, as among biological children. For instance, a model in Cheadle showed that the relationship between marital conflict and child behavior problems was equally strong in biological and adoptive families, suggesting a true environmental effect. Epigenetic effects are especially important during prenatal development when regulatory DNA and environmental influences orchestrate early development. Humans have always encountered people who look different, speak peculiar languages, and behave in unexpected or unpredictable ways. Although sometimes hostility and wars break out between groups because of such differences, usually people have found ways to get along, often through trade and alliances. To be effective at establishing strong social and political bonds, in spite of human differences, has always required that people have practical understanding of human variation. When anthropologists talk about diversity, they mean something different from the popular usage of the term in the United States, which typically refers to different kinds of art, cuisine, dress, or dance, as well as to difference among various racial and ethnic groups. Defined anthropologically, diversity refers to multiplicity and variety, which is not the same as mere difference. Within multiplicity and variety, there is both differences and similarity. The important concept put forward by Glenn Elder and his colleagues that we lead linked lives, that our lives and development are intertwined with those of other members of our family. Every individual and every relationship within the family affects every other individual and relationship through reciprocal influence. Co-parenting, or the way in which two parents coordinate their parenting and function well as a team in raising their children. Do they talk to each other about the children and agree on the basics of child rearing? Have they worked out a division of responsibility for parenting? Are they consistent in their rules and enforcement of rules? And do they back one another up? Or do they undermine each other's parenting, contradict one another, and compete for their children's affection? Mutually supportive co-parenting can make a big difference in child development, beyond the impact of a close marital or couple relationship. Moreover, each family member is a developing individual, and the relationships between husband and wife, parent and child, and sibling change in systematic ways over the years. Changes in family membership and changes in any person or relationship within the family affect the dynamics of the whole system. Genes do not orchestrate our growth before birth and then just leave us alone. Instead, they are turning on and turning off in patterned ways throughout the lifespan, helping shape our characteristics and behavior. No less important are ever-changing environmental influences, from conception to death. But genes and environment do not operate independently. They are interrelated in important ways.